Hi guys! So, welcome to Friends Together Live from our Friends Together page, our first time. And so, it's funny that tonight we're talking about stress because we're doing it in the dark. The whole reason we were going to have this show tonight, or early, before our real premiere next Thursday, was because so many people have been so stressed about the hurricane and upcoming events. And so people were asking for my old podcast on stress techniques. And so I was like, oh, well, we'll just move this up. And so here I sit in Lehigh, in the bullseye of Irma, who's about 3 days away still. And this major thunderstorm has come up, and about, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, boom, transformer blows outside the front door, and lights, camera, action, no lights, no cable, no nothing. So here we go. But anyway, I'm glad some of you are joining us and some of you have jumped on, and so we're just going to do this with you and me, and no props. So for those of you that are used to hearing me talk on my homepage or on the Straight Talk page and have heard me talk about how wonderful the solar lights are we take to Africa, well, here they are, and they work really well because you can see me in the dark. So good thing that I had pre-planned for hurricane season and ordered some of the lights we take for Africa for me and the rest of my family, and some of you will be getting these for Christmas, I'm sure. So they're here. I was just giving folks a little bit of time to jump on. The difference with this seems to be I can't tell who's on and who's not, and I can see numbers, but I can't see people's names when people are on the site. So there must be something I need to push to do that. But anyway, I can tell there's people on, so that's good. So again, if you're just joining, just so everyone knows, I'm doing this in the dark or with our solar lights from Africa. Hey Tracy, I can see you when you type. Just about 15 minutes ago, we are having a huge storm here, unrelated to the hurricane that's on its way. And boom, transformer blows outside, and no electricity, no internet, no anything. So everybody can tell that our solar lights that we take to Africa really work, because my bedroom would be pitch dark if I didn't have them. So that's a good thing. So anyway, let's get started. I know other people will keep popping on, but I want this to be able to load up and people not to hear me rambling for a long time. So what brought this about for us starting a week earlier than we've been advertising we were going to start our live shows was really our podcasts from my Straight Talk show in the iTunes store had been getting so many hits this week, our stress management podcast, and I realized that it was around the hurricane stuff. And then yesterday I got home and we had just a whole bunch of messages where people were looking for that and were looking for some techniques and those kinds of things. And so I decided, well, we might as well just start a week early and just do it right here. And so what this Thursday night show is going to be, obviously on a normal basis, we'll have Friends Together stuff. We'll talk about what's going on with the Africa stuff. We'll talk about local Friends Together stuff and those kinds of things. And we'll have announcements, and we'll do different things. Hopefully every week somebody else Friends Together related will also be on the show with me. Next week will be a lot of special stuff because we'll be in Fort Walton Beach, and we'll have a lot of old time Friends Together people there. So we'll do some special stuff all weekend next week. So those kinds of things. And then at least once a month we'll do like this. There'll be a topic show. And as we get into the rhythm of it, we'll kind of settle in, and it'll kind of follow the Straight Talk pattern of things. Those of you that have followed the Straight Talk podcast. I just think this will be a lot easier because it won't take someone other than me having to load things up. And Ryan is just so busy since, he's just got a real life now. So loading the podcast up and all the things that go with that is just complicated. So we're going to try this and see how it works. So bear with us the first couple of times. There may be a few complications, but after that, I think everything should be great. So as we talk about stress and stress management, since I can't see who all's on, I can only see numbers. I have no idea who knows what about my background and that kind of stuff. So just a brief little bit about that. If you're brand new and for some reason are watching this because somebody sent you here tonight, I have a lot of experience with stress in my life. In 1984, I was a victim of a major sexual assault and had a just basically very violent, traumatic experience, and which led to me being diagnosed 7 years later with HIV, and all kinds of stuff around that. And so I am 52 years old, and I've been living with HIV for 33 years. I'm also a breast cancer survivor, and my love of my life was killed in a car accident. My second husband was killed in a car accident in 2005. I have two awesome children, Lindsay and Garrett, who are 25 and 26, who are a huge part of this foundation, Friends Together. My late husband and I started Friends Together, and when I was diagnosed with breast cancer and thought the end was really going to come, but it didn't come. And so Friends Together is an organization, is a 100% volunteer organization, and we do all kinds of work. And so if you're interested in that, you can look through the stuff and see. But when it comes to stress management, I have obviously lived a lot of what I'm going to talk about, but I also teach. I've had different teaching experiences and been involved in higher ed for a long time. And now I currently work with Nova Southeastern Osteopathic Medical School and their AHEC programs, and work with some cessation programs and that kind of stuff with people quitting smoking, and some other addiction programs with some programs in Georgia and different things. So stress management is kind of my thing for a lot of different topics. But stress and anxiety go hand in hand, and whether it's situational, like around the hurricane, or whether it's an everyday thing that people live with, the techniques that I'm going to talk about tonight, and then we'll put up information that I can't show you because the computer's not on. These techniques work no matter if it's situational or if it's long-term, or if it's something that you deal with on a daily basis, or if it's something that comes just because something like this hurricane is on its way. So, and there's obviously tons of different things. People have to figure out what works for them and what doesn't. When I was first diagnosed with the HIV, there was no medicine. You took AZT, you got sick, and you died. That was just it. I mean, really, that was the only option pretty much for people. And so I started looking for holistic alternatives, and that led me on this path for me. I was fortunate enough to find a spiritual community in Sebastian, Florida. It was a Hindu ashram, and they were doing holistic work around HIV. So I started going and basically was being there continuously, and I was trying to learn to meditate. Now, you should know I grew up in the Deep South. I'm a native Floridian who grew up in North Florida, the daughter of a Methodist minister and a political science professor, and meditation was about the furthest thing from something I'd ever been exposed to in my whole life. So, but I'm a teacher by trade. So for the first, 3 or 4 weeks, I was laying on the floor and I was faking it, because I can fake it till I make it in anything. And I was laying there, kind of oming and all this kind of stuff. But really, I was grocery shopping in my head. That's what I was doing. I was making lists. I was doing all kinds of stuff like that. And then one day, I finally was like, this is never going to happen. And so afterwards, I went up to one of the people that was doing some instruction, and I just said, this is never going to happen. And he looked at me and he said, you don't know how to breathe. And I said, I don't know how to breathe. I'm getting close to 30. I've been breathing for a long time. I think I can breathe. And he said, no, you don't know how to breathe. And when you learn how to breathe, you'll learn how to control your anxiety. And when you learn how to control your anxiety, you will learn how to control everything else that happens in your body. And I was like, okay, teach me how to breathe. And so he had me sit down and he told me to close my eyes. And this first breath is the thing that he taught me. And it seemed so simple. And I was like, this is the silliest thing anybody's ever said to me. But 6 weeks later, I realized my anxiety was gone. I really was okay. And it was all about being able to breathe right. And so this breath is the one thing that when I'm working with trauma victims, when I'm working with sexual assault survivors, when I'm working with people trying to quit smoking, it's one of the very first things I teach them, because it's one of those things that is free, that is, everybody can do it, and can change your life really quickly. So if you're using this breath for anxiety or nervousness or anything to do with any situation or anything like that, it doesn't matter. You could be in the fetal position. You could be laying in your bed. You could be driving down the road. You could be, anywhere. If you were going to use this breath because you wanted to improve your lung capacity because you have COPD along with everything else, or you emphysema because you're a smoker, because I think some people from my classes are on here, you would sit up straight and you would actually do this breath from your diaphragm, because I see a thumbs up, so I know somebody is. So you would breathe from your diaphragm. And so when you breathe from your diaphragm, you're expanding your lungs, okay? But otherwise, you can be anywhere. So what you would do is, I like to close my eyes, except when I'm using this, when I'm driving. I use this for road rage. I drive 1,000 miles a week. So during season, that's something that happens a lot. But you close your eyes and you breathe in through your nose to the count of 4, and you breathe out through your mouth to the count of 8. So if you're watching right now, I want you to try this. So everybody, just close your eyes. If you're sitting somewhere where you can do that, or just, you can have your eyes open, it's fine. So just breathe until I tell you to stop. So in through your nose to the count of 4, and out through your mouth to the count of 8. And you just do it on your own pace. So it's in 4 and out 8. If you're somebody who has diminished lung capacity for some reason, you could do 3 and 6. 4 and 8 is optimal, but if you need to do 3 and 6, do 3 and 6. And so just count as you breathe. Now, if you were actually in my class, I would have had you do that for a period of time, and I would have not told you how long you were doing it, and then I would have asked you how long you had done it. And most people would have said they had done it for a minute and a half, and you would have actually done it for about 4 minutes. I try to take people to about 4 minutes when you're doing the exercise. What happens is that your brain becomes distracted. We think that we are made to multitask. We are told by everything we see on TV, by everything, all the stuff people around us, that we're supposed to be able to do this, and all at one time. But we're not. Our brain doesn't do that. And so when we focus on our breath and we're counting, it slows down. Time slows down. Everything slows down. And what happens is, during that time, our blood pressure actually begins to decrease. Our heart rate begins to decrease. Our body begins to slow down. Now, some of you may have found it hard to do the first time. That's okay. It's kind of silly when somebody's sitting here talking to you through a screen, especially when their lights are out and everything else. But I promise, if you would practice that for a few days, a couple of times a day, you will find that it works. It's an amazing technique. And it really is meditation. The word meditation, a lot of times people have a really hard time understanding, the concept of meditation. And for me, it was a block in the beginning too, because, I come from this very traditional background. And so that same teacher that taught me how to breathe one day said to me, because my mind it really has a hard time quieting down. I'm a very type A personality. I'm always going, I'm always talking, my brain is always thinking. And he just looked at me one day and he said, Kathy, do you pray? And I said, well, of course I pray. You know I pray. My daddy is a minister, and of course I pray. And he said, so when do you get quiet enough to listen to the answers? He said, praying is talking. Meditating is listening. And it was really interesting for me because that was like, wow, nobody had ever said that. And I got that, right? So I do tell people that I'm alive today, 33 years with the biggest disease on the planet, because I meditate twice a day, every day, no matter what. If I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to do my morning meditation, I do that. I do the same meditation every single morning of every single day. I do a different meditation at night, but every morning of every day for the last 25 years, I do the same meditation. What happens when you do the same thing over and over and over and over, especially if you experience anxiety, that routine brings you calmness in the middle of a storm. So for me, when I'm experiencing, especially if I'm experiencing an illness or I'm experiencing someone else having some major issue, the routine of keeping up my self-care keeps me in a place that my anxiety will stay low, that my own self-care stays in check. I can't take care of anybody else if I don't take care of me. And that's true for every single person. And so for those of you that are interested in meditating, that have maybe thought about meditating at some time, one of the posts that I posted earlier today has a screenshot of apps that are free apps that there may be one or two on there that cost $1 or something, but almost all of them are free, that I use a lot with my classes. They're all very simple meditations. None of them are heebie-jeebie, hoobie-jeebies or anything else, but they're meditations that will help quiet your brain, will help you find that place of being able to bring some stress down for some folks. So if meditation is something you're interested in, when I have electricity again and can pull up the stuff that I was creating for this tonight, I will post all of it in the files on the Friends Together page. So you'll be able to go in there and pull that off, and there'll be a whole bunch of stuff listed in there. So please share all that stuff. Take it. It's not, I made it so you guys can have it. So it's not something that I want you to go, oh, I can't share this. It's for you to take, do anything with you want. If you're a teacher, make copies of it, give it to your classes. I don't care. It's not anything that stuff that I want people to have. So at any rate, just one other thing about meditation. For me, the idea of doing the same meditation every morning also has certainly with my mental health made a difference, but my physical health made a difference too. So some of you on here probably have physical illnesses or have had some physical illnesses. For me, what my morning meditation, I don't always share this with people because some people think this is crazy, but 25 years ago, it wasn't crazy, and so it works for me. My morning meditation is I have a particular song that plays in the background, and I start with Mr. Pac-Man, the game. If you're really young on down here, Pac-Man was a video game, and I'm sure you can still find it places. But anyway, I see Pac-Man eating the HIV virus, starting at the top of my head and working all the way down through my body and through my system. And so it's a consistency thing for me. So anyway, just something to think about. The next thing I want to talk about is other techniques that people can use, whether it's situational or whether it's, something that's ongoing. Again, it's about having a routine, something that distracts your mind from what's causing you to escalate. So one of the things that I found over the years is that when people have something that can keep their hands busy, they get distracted. When vets were coming home from Vietnam, no one knew what PTSD was then. Nurses recognized that veterans were having problems. They knew something was wrong, but they didn't know exactly what it was. And today, if you go into a place that's really loud, you go to Walmart and there's screaming kids, or, you know, different places, and you see guys that are walking around and they're jiggling change in their pockets, and they're older men, oftentimes they were Vietnam vets. Nurses would teach them to run quarters through their fingers. And it was a distraction technique. It was a way to center them on something other than the sounds that they were hearing. And so if you can run change through your fingers, that's a good technique. I could never get that. I just could never ever make my fingers do that. But one thing that I could do, and that I do all the time, is I have what I call a worry rock. I have river stones. I like river stones, river rocks. And I have them, if you know me, I have them in my car, I have them in my purse. I oftentimes, if I'm going to be somewhere where I know that I'm going to be nervous, or where things are going to be out of sorts for me, especially a lot of people, and it may be going to be loud, and I could be disoriented in some way. If I'm going to be doing a big presentation with a whole lot of people, I'll always have a rock in my pocket. And it's just something I can put my hand and I can rub. Some people use like those glass stones that you'll find in vases and stuff. They're different colors and stuff. They're pretty, and they're smooth, and so some people use something like that. So there's all kinds of different things. You know, some people use medallions, or the little silver, I can't talk either, silver coins that are like guardian angels. Those are a good thing, you know, that's easy to keep in your pocket. But something that you train your brain, that when that's in your hand, all of a sudden you feel more relaxed, right? It's kind of like Linus's blanket in the Peanuts. It's something that's with you. It's your security piece, that you know you're okay because you have that with you. So it gives you that piece of comfort. It gives you something to do. Something that when you are at home and you feel something coming up is keeping your hands busy and your brain busy at the same time. Coloring is an incredible technique. I should have patented this. Anybody that has been a Friends Together volunteer knows that I've always used coloring with our kids and our grown-ups when they've been sick in the hospital. We use it for pain techniques for people that, especially end of life, when people in the early days with HIV, you know, we had a lot of our Friends Together people that would want to be as conscious as they could, not take as much medicine, but would have a lot of pain, and when that pain would come, anxiety. And so I would go and buy coloring books, and, you know, all you could find were kids' coloring books, and, you know, crayons, pencils, whatever. And it's amazing how distracted your brain becomes. And when your brain becomes distracted, it distracts from pain, it distracts from anxiety, it can distract from all kinds of things. And so that technique works really well. Well, when all the adult coloring books started coming, I was like, dang, I missed a fortune. I could have made us rich. But they're wonderful. You know, they're absolutely wonderful. I was going to show you, but it's dark in my room. I have all different kinds, and I take them to my classes, and I have people coloring in my classes, and I let them take pages out to take home with them. You can have pencils, you can have gel pens. The secret to it, though, if you're going to have it at home, is not to have it put up and have it in your drawer and have it put away somewhere. Is to have a little table set up somewhere where you can have that out. If you have you know, a place that, if you have a big enough house that you can just have it on your coffee table or your kitchen table, or, you know, wherever, that's great. If not, get you like a little, one of those little TV tray things, like, you know, that you eat dinner on while you're watching TV. Have it set up on that. And you just have it set up so it's out. Because if it's not out for you to just be able to go sit down and start doing, then it's going to cause you anxiety when you have to go find it and get it out and all that. It's never going to happen, right? The same thing if you like to put together puzzles. Puzzles are great, but you can't have to go get it and get it out. It has to have its own place. It has to be where you can sit down and start doing it. If puzzles in a book are your thing, crossword puzzles, Sudoku, word searches, all those things distract your brain. All those things, if you have them where you can get to them, where they're set out, where you just have to sit down and start doing them. If one of those things is something that interests you, that you enjoy doing, and anxiety may be something that creeps up on you at work, or maybe it creeps up on you when you're traveling, you can keep them in your purse. You can keep them in the glove compartment of your car or in your briefcase. And you know what? If you grab that word search and you go in the bathroom and you shut the bathroom door and you're in there for 5-10 minutes, nobody's going to miss you. You know, if that's something that will pull you down, then that's fine. It's a tool, right? And if that works that fast as opposed to staying up here all day, then that's great. During something like this storm, those are things that are going to help a lot because you're trapped inside, right? You're just there. We're all inside. People start getting on your nerves. People are calling, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? All those kinds of things. So if you can have something like that set up to distract you, even if that's not something you would normally do, during something like this, it's a great thing, especially if the lights go out. Yeah. I think this whole thing is testing me to see if I'm prepared. I am prepared. I knew where the flashlights were and I knew where the solar lights were, so I'm prepared. What I'm not prepared for, however, is my battery-powered fan is not here yet. Anyway, so on a daily basis, though, for those of you who deal with anxiety and stress on a daily basis, which is a little different than just dealing with something situational. Like if you deal with something situational like, oh my gosh, I don't want to fly, I hate to fly, and you work yourself up over that, that's one thing. If anxiety is something that creeps up on you on a daily basis, then dealing with long-term techniques becomes a little bit different. The breathing techniques, the meditation, my father keeps calling me, that's good for any time to use that technique. But those techniques. But when you're dealing with long-term stuff, finding long-term solutions, this is not to take the place of counseling. This is not to take the place of medication if you're on medication. This is to find compatible strategies, right? For me, medication just in the beginning wasn't an option either because you know, I needed to learn how to deal with the stress in a situation that other people were not equipped to deal with at all. So I had to find techniques that just were going to be long-term that could offer me, you know, fixes immediately. But my stuff was really, even though it was long-term, it was situational, right? It wasn't something I had dealt with before, and it wasn't something that I deal with on a normal basis. It was just around what was happening at the time. So it's definitely different when you're dealing with anxiety and stuff that is biological, has a biological reason, right? So you definitely, oftentimes people need to add medication. There needs to be a medication side to things, but at the same time, medication is not always going to be the answer, or you're going to need things to offset that medication as well. So looking for strategies when you are dealing with long-term stuff really needs to be things that you have basically 5 or 6 options to be able to go to. And these are the things that we really work with people with when we're helping them get a plan, a strategic plan. And really, that's what people who deal with anxiety issues on a daily basis need to have, is a strategic plan. What I start with, if it doesn't work, what can I do next? What can I do next? What can I do next? What are my backups? If option number 1 doesn't work today, what's my option number 2? What's plan 3, 4, 5, whatever that is? Because option number 1 is not always going to work. For a lot of people, the first thing and the best thing for dealing with anxiety and stress is exercise. Some of you are not going to want to hear that. That would be me. On a normal basis, I am not one of those people that's ever going to get all those endorphins and be like, oh, I just love to exercise. I have a child that's that way. I gave birth to him. I don't know, I don't know how that happened. But his mother does not have any of those genes. But yet, when I exercise, I feel better. I know that. I do. People who deal with anxiety, when they exercise long term, they definitely see a change in their, levels of their cortisol and all their different hormones and stuff in their body. So we know that people that have a chemical imbalance that causes anxiety and stress, that exercise is hugely beneficial for them. So getting on a routine of that, even if it's a 3-day-a-week routine or, whatever it is, maybe it's walking, maybe it's playing a sport, maybe it's, going to a line dancing class, or maybe it's taking a karate class or a belly dancing class, or, whatever that is. Maybe it's getting a trampoline like mine that I get on every night, and just using that 3 days a week or something like that. But something that gets you in a routine, we know that's going to help your overall long-term effects with dealing with, stress and anxiety issues for sure. The other thing is sleep. And sleep is one of those things that is so underrated. Sleep is so important for everyone, but especially for people who are dealing with anxiety issues. Now, you can get too much sleep. You absolutely can. Depression and anxiety are two different things. And so if somebody's sleeping, 11 hours every day, then something's wrong. But oftentimes, part of what causes people's anxiety to spark is the fact that they're overloaded at work, they're overloaded at school, whatever's going on in their personal life. They're chasing the kids, chasing the husband, doing this, doing that, and they're getting 6 hours of sleep at night, and their brain is never decompressing. And so that's causing their anxiety levels to go up, to go up, to go up, to go up. And so really working on your sleep patterns is really, really important. And there's lots of information out there about, how important it is to get enough sleep. But what I will encourage you, and so I'm sure there's several people on here laughing that know me well, and know that sleep has never been my friend. I have always been a person that's never slept more than 5 hours a night, 6 hours a night. My father's the same way. My son takes after his mother, and yet my daughter is someone who sleeps 8 to 9 hours every day. But sleeping is important, and so lately, I have taken the electronic devices out of my bedroom. I leave my phone outside my door. Literally, I have a shelf outside my door, and I've started at night after I get done what I'm doing. I put my phone outside the door. I turn my computer off. My TV's off. I took my clock out of the alarm clock piece out of my bedroom. My alarm is on my phone, but it's right outside my door, so I still hear it, so I get up to, get to it and that kind of thing. But it's taken the light, the blue light and the red light out of the room, and it's amazing what a difference just that little thing has made in my sleep patterns. I also wear a Fitbit all the time. I'm crazy about my walking and my steps for the last couple of years, but I didn't have one that tracked my steps because I had one of the ones that didn't track your steps until, I don't know, maybe about 8 or 9 months ago. And once I started, not my steps, my sleep. And once I started seeing how bad my sleep patterns were, and the fact that I was really, maybe I was thinking I was sleeping 6 or 7 hours a night, but when I would look at it, I was actually awake like 64 minutes during that time and all that stuff. I realized, okay, it's time to start working on that. And I really have been working on those things a lot. And, when you look at the research, we know there's so much that adds to that being part of the issue is the amount of sleep that people get and those kinds of things. So It's all those little things. It's just the little things that as you change little pieces that start falling together to the next little pieces, to the next little pieces, to the next little pieces that make the biggest, the biggest switches in the things that you're doing. The next thing is nutrition. And I know, right? Yuck. But sometimes it's really about the foods you're eating. Not that they're not even nutritious, but there's so much research out there about the GMOs in food and reactions that people have to different foods. My daughter has celiacs, and it's amazing when we finally figured out what she had and changed the foods and got her off of anything but gluten in it, how much her moods changed. When we found out she had celiac, I mean, she had gotten violently, violently ill, but it had taken time to build to that point. And for about 1.5 years building to that point, she was having it was awful. It was really bad. And her moods were just swinging all over the place, and her anxiety was high, and it was all kinds of stuff. But it was 100% was related to the food. And so if you're somebody who's been suffering for a long time with different issues, maybe start looking at the things you're eating, looking at your diet, and try taking out dairy for a little while. See if that makes a difference. Try taking out gluten. See if that makes a difference. Try switching up some of those things. Do some research. See if anybody else in your family has, food-related connections to things. And you may really, see that there's some things there that could help you. So at any rate, there's just a whole lot of different things around those things that seem like they're not huge things, but when they start this domino effect, they really make a difference in how everything else connects in your body. So just start looking at those pieces for the long-term stuff for sure. So really quickly, back to the short-term stuff, just in case you joined us late. I just want to go back over this one more time. Those of you that are having mounting anxiety around the storm, a couple of things. First off, make sure you're prepared. It's getting kind of late to leave, so if you're going to stay, make sure you're prepared no matter where you are. You do not have to go out and fight for water. The water in your tap, it works just fine. You've been drinking it all this time. Get you some gallon freezer bags, fill them up with water, shut them, put them in your freezer. When they thaw out, you got water right there. Meanwhile, they help keep your food frozen extra long. Make sure you fill a tub or a garbage can or something in your bathroom so you can flush your commode. Chances are some of us are going to be out of power for a long time. During the 4 fiasco of 3 big ones in one summer, basically most of us in the Lakeland area were out of electricity anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks over that whole period of time. So, just know that it could happen, and be as prepared as you can be. Make sure that you have as many batteries as you can have. If you've got flashlights that need batteries, have the right ones. If you have backup chargers, have every single backup charger you have charging and leave them charging. If you can see, all the Africa things are down there charging, so they'll be charged. Good thing, because I'm going to need them tonight since I have no electricity. See, I'm all psyched up and prepared for the hurricane, and yet have no electricity tonight. I was not prepared to be hot tonight. I was not. The one other thing I was going to try to show you guys today was this. I don't have any idea if you can see, but that's my board. And I believe a lot in affirmations and vision boards and things that you can see to keep you on track. And that board is right beside my bed. And that way, I keep myself focused on the things that I want to remind myself what's important and the things that I need to stay looking at and doing. As far as my exercise stuff, my exercise mats, right beside my bed. Yep. poor Troy, right? I know that's what you guys are thinking. A trampoline right there. So in the morning time, at night, I get my shower. I sleep in my workout clothes so that in the morning I can just get up, put them on, and I don't even have to put them on. I just roll out and get on my trampoline. Anything that makes it easy, that takes away the stress, right? So all those things really, 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 really do help. So I hope this has helped a little bit. I know it's weird doing it in the dark. It wasn't what I planned. I had all these slides to show you guys. I had all kinds of stuff set up, but I promise they'll go up in the files on the Friends Together site as soon as I have internet again, which I'm sure will not be till tomorrow, and could be Monday at this rate. But anyway, as soon as I have internet, I will get everything up in the file section, and if you're watching this and you're in the path, everything's going to be okay. Just keep breathing. Make yourself safe as you can. Make your family as safe as you can. Have plenty of snacks. Don't eat all your hurricane snacks before Saturday and Sunday. And everybody stay safe. Peace out. Love you.